If you're a beekeeper and you're looking to grow, there's one technique you absolutely have to know. It's called splitting a hive. It's really the key to turning one strong colony into two, or maybe even more. So how do you get good at this? Well, let's dive right in.
Here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with the basics. What is hive splitting exactly? Then we'll talk about timing, which is super critical. After that, we'll walk through 3 different ways to do it, and we'll wrap up with the most important things you need to do to make sure your new colony really takes off.
So let's start at the very beginning. What are we even talking about when we say hive splitting? Well, you can think of it as the bedrock of growing your own apiary.
At its heart, splitting is, exactly what it sounds like. You're taking one healthy, thriving colony, one that's nice and strong, and you're carefully dividing up its bees, its brood, and its resources to create a whole new colony that can stand on its own.
And why would you do this? Well, the goal is pretty simple, but it's a big one: growth. By splitting a hive, you're not just managing the population of the old one, maybe preventing a swarm, you're actually making more hives, more healthy, productive colonies for your apiary. Now, you can't just go out and split a hive whenever you feel like it. I mean, you could try, but it probably wouldn't go well. Success here is all about timing. Getting it right is absolutely crucial. So when is the right time? Well, you've got a few sweet spots. Early spring is fantastic, because that's when the colony is naturally exploding in population anyway. Another great window is right after a big nectar flow. The hive is just bursting with bees and food, so they have plenty to spare. Or you can do it about 6 weeks before a nectar flow starts. This is a really clever move because it gives your brand new colony just enough time to raise a new generation of bees that will become its forager workforce, ready to go out and collect all that nectar.
Okay, let's get into the how-to. The first method we'll look at is probably the most straightforward. We'll call it the strong hive split. You're basically taking one powerhouse hive and using its own strength to create another one.
Here's how this one works. First, you take your whole strong hive, queen, bees, everything, and you move it to a totally new spot. Then, right where that hive used to be, you put down a new, empty hive box. And here's the magic. All the forager bees that are out working, they don't know the hive moved. They have this amazing internal GPS that brings them right back to the original spot. So they just start populating your new box for you. All you have to do then is take a few frames of brood and honey from the original hive and put them in the new one. Just make absolutely sure the queen doesn't come with them.
All right, method number 2 is a little different. It's called the random split, and it's a pretty slick way to turn one strong hive into 2 smaller ones in a single afternoon.
For this one, you start by taking the original hive completely off its stand. Then, in that exact same spot, you place 2 new, smaller hive boxes right next to each other. Now you just take all the frames out of that original hive and you divide them up pretty much randomly between the 2 new boxes. What happens next is pretty cool. As the forager bees come home, they see 2 hives where there used to be one, and they just sort of pick one. They divide themselves up between the 2 new homes. It's an amazing way to let the bees do half the work for you.
Okay, this third method is a bit more advanced, a bit more strategic. It's perfect if your main goal is to expand without really weakening any of your existing hives too much. This is the combined hive method. You're basically building a new colony from spare parts, so to speak. The whole idea here is to create a new composite hive by spreading the load. Instead of taking a lot from one colony, you take a little from several. This is a great way to protect the overall strength of your apiary while you're growing it.
So picture this. You're building a new hive piece by piece. You might get your forager bees from hive A, using a similar technique to our first method. Then you go to hive B and borrow a couple frames of capped brood. After that, you head over to hive C to grab a frame of honey and a frame of pollen. You bring all these different pieces together into a new hive box, and just like that, you've created a brand new colony from the collective strength of your entire bee yard. Okay, so let's put these 3 side by side for a second. The strong hive split, super simple and direct. The random split, it's all about efficiency, giving you 2 hives from one. And the combined hive method, that's your risk management strategy, making sure no single hive takes a big hit. Honestly, the best method for you really just depends on your goals and what your apiary looks like. So we have these fantastic methods for building the body of a new hive. But no matter which way you do it, there's a huge, absolutely critical piece of the puzzle missing in your new split. You see, every colony has to have a leader. So what are we going to do about the queen? You've basically got 2 choices here. Option 1 is to let nature handle it. If you made sure to put frames with fresh eggs into your new split, the worker bees will figure out their queenless pretty fast, and they'll get to work raising a new queen of their own from one of those eggs. Option 2 is the faster route. You can buy a mated queen and introduce her to the colony yourself. This gives them a real head start.
Now look, making the split is really only half the job. Those first few weeks are absolutely critical for the new colony's survival. So let's run through a quick post-split checklist to make sure all your hard work pays off. First off, you'll need to do regular but very gentle inspections. The number one thing you're looking for is proof of a laying queen. You need to see that she's been accepted and is laying eggs. You also want to make sure there's a good mix of bees, nurse bees inside to care for the brood, and forager bees outside bringing in food. And this last one is really important. If things just aren't working out, if the queen fails or the population starts to drop, don't wait. The best thing you can do is merge that failing split back into a strong hive to save the bees and the resources.
So when you boil it all down, it comes to this. No matter which method you use, a successful split always provides the new colony with three essential things: enough bees to function, enough food to get started, and a clear path to getting a new laying queen. If you get those three things right, you're setting yourself up for success.
So there you have it. We've talked about why you should split a hive, when to do it, and how to do it in a few different ways. We've seen how you can use one strong hive or several to expand your apiary. The only real question left is the one you have to answer for yourself. Now that you know the methods, which split are you going to try first?